And we are back on OpenLine. Chuck Long here with you for the next about 45-50 minutes. We are so glad that you've tuned in. If you did just tune in, you have tuned into OpenLine, and our topic this hour is Ask an Attorney, and we are talking with our expert. He's with us for years. We love it when he's here. Kevin Kennedy answering those legal questions for you. All right, if you do have a question, get on the line with us, 737-7587. Kevin, you ready to go back to the phones?
Let's hit them and hurt them.
All right, let's do it. Let's go to Steve. Steve, we're glad that you're on the line with us this evening. Do you have a question for Kevin?
The question I have is, do you have to go through an attorney to fill out a will, or can you just write it up and then go get it notarized and it'll be recognized?
You're doing the good question. Here's the Kevin Kennedy advice. I always recommend go to an attorney. I never want to have any misunderstanding where it could be interpreted against you. What's the difference? When we actually bring you in, we do a little recitation when we go to execute. We say, are you Chuck Long? Do you have your mind? Or do you know who your issue is? What that means? Do you know who your family? And do you know the extent of your property? He would say yes, and this is your last will and testament. So then we move. We have 2 witnesses. Many of my wills, they will have 3 witnesses. And you say, Kev, we only need 2. I said, that's what the law requires. But if there's a little misunderstanding, Kevin always brings more evidence than is necessary because we want to make sure no misunderstandings. So in Tennessee, you can just sit down with a piece of paper and write out your will and sign it. If it's in your handwriting and signed, then that is legal in the state of Tennessee. But you're also leaving it open where somebody could attack. And so, just put all the nails in the coffin, let's seal it forever. Kev, do you feel good? Nothing is 100%, but that's about as close as you can get. On my big ones, many times, when we have the multi-million dollars to deal with, we'll do a video. And then I'll just question him several times to have a clear, the lawyers on the other side always say, Kev, why do you do this? You don't have to. I said, then just appease me because I know what I'm doing. My experience dictates.
Well, and Kevin, that's such great advice. And Steve, we appreciate that question. It's a great question. Steve. But I tell you, with that advice, I know some people like to just kind of think, well, as long as I have something written down, I've got the will, it's taken care of. But if you've ever had a will drawn up or you've gone through an estate situation, you know how complicated the law can be.
It will make your daddy and mama roll over in their grave. And when money, I have my brother's an estate law, and we're there, and here's one of his famous lines. He said, Kevin, nothing tears a family up like the smell of money. And so even though you know each other, as long as mom and dad's around, things kind of hold together. So if there's ex-spouses and stepchildren, every week we are confronted with those issues. So let me take that grief off of you and let me settle that, and then we can hold the line. I've been there many times, and they said, Kev, can you hold the line? I said, we'll hold the line. And I see the relief go off of them.
All right, so we appreciate great conversation right there. Thanks again, Steve, for calling in. Let's go back to the lines right now. Lynn is on the line with us. Lynn, good evening. Do you have a question for Kevin?
Yes, sir. It's kind of a 2-part question.
Okay, no problem.
In 1983, I pled guilty to a felony of shooting in the city limits with a dangerous weapon or something like that.
Okay.
It does not come up on my state background, but it does come up on my federal background. This was in Oklahoma, and I live in Tennessee now. Like I said, this was in 1983. I have not been in any trouble since. But recently, a federal background check did keep me from getting a job. I was trying to find out, how do I go about having that expunged, or can I even have it expunged? And can I do it from Tennessee, or do I need to go back to Oklahoma?
You got those issues down, girl. Okay, here's the overall answer. One answer is the laws have changed in each state, so we need to see if the state law has changed. Some of the laws have allowed certain felonies to be expunged. And remember, you'll go back to the old saying, when there is a will, there is a way. So you can pursue that. Perhaps they may not even have the records. It'll show up on an NCIC, and perhaps if you had a lawyer file a petition and they could talk to the district attorney. And you know, I've seen some, it's questionable. Well, what do you mean questionable? Well, it's questionable, but anyway, they got off. So there's a lot of interpretation. And then I'll tell you one more trick. You're listening to a trick? Do you need a trick? Because you never know. On felonies, and people say, well, why do you plead? Because sometimes it's a best interest plea, especially when you're out of state. And so what you can always pursue is a clemency or a pardon from a governor. And if you've had an outstanding record for 33 years and you could show that this is preventing you for some reason of advancing to help society and your job or your career, then you're an excellent candidate to file for that pardon.
All right, so I am going to make sure, Lynn, just want to make sure, is that both parts of your question? Are you still with us, Lynn?
No, this is Teresa.
Oh, okay. Teresa, do you have a question? We'll just go ahead and go on.
Yes, I just called earlier, and I was calling to let you know I did take a picture of her license plate.
Good.
And my insurance people said that the police, they need a police report.
Yes.
Well, by it being on private property, I had to send it over to Homeland Security.
Yep.
And the lady don't want to work with me because she says she can't find out who this is. So what do I need to do?
Well, I'll tell you.
License plate.
Here's what I would do. You know, many times you may get someone that's had a bad day, grumpy or whatever, they put you off. You can go back another day, see, and perhaps there's a new person there who really goes out of their way. And for all the people that work for the government, I salute you, I appreciate you, but man, times are tough out here and people are agitated and aggravated, and many times they'll just dismiss you. So the squeaky door gets the oil. What does that really mean? Keep pursuing. Keep pursuing. We know if you've got that license plate, that was registered to someone. That's where you start.
Okay. Thank you so much, Teresa. We're glad that you called back on that one. We've got a lot of you on the lines right now, but we do need to take a short break. But when we come back, more questions, more comments right here on Open Line.